Allsup Employment Services client featured on Dr. Michelle Show.
And so it was out doing its own thing, but I wasn't working and I was being supported by SSDI. Now, SSDI, going from an IT professional, making really good money to collecting SSDI, shock to the system. It's not a thing that you look forward to. It doesn't really pay the bills.
Right.
So I always intended to go back to work. I needed to go back to work, actually. I wanted to go back to work. I always thought I would go back to work. So I'm collecting SSDI, and then one day I receive a call. And I usually don't answer unknown numbers, but I happened to answer the call. I was in the car, and it was I'm going to say a caseworker from Allsup Employment Services. I had never heard of them. And they said that we have your name on a list and we think you'd be a good candidate for our Ticket to Work program. And I said, what is that? I'm kind of cranky.
Yeah.
Like, why are you calling me? And they explained to me that it was a way for me to return back to work, stop taking the SSDI, but transition, making it a soft landing instead of a hard landing, which was very interesting. And then they said, we'll help you find work. We will coach you. We'll be supporting of you throughout this long process. And so that's how I was introduced to the Ticket to Work program.
Well, so you were able to, with the Ticket to Work program, you can still work and receive your SSDI.
That is correct. Allsup Employment and its founder, Jim Allsup, back in 1999, were instrumental in getting a bill passed in Congress that set up this program for Social Security disability recipients. The issue is that most people don't know it. Okay.
Right. I had never heard of it.
Right.
So who qualifies
So
for TTW?
I believe the most recent numbers that I had were 1.4 million people. And the estimates are at 20% of those people really want to go to work but don't know how to do it. And there's always the big fear of, what if I go back to work and I still am sick? Or do I have to give up my insurance, especially the Medicare? What happens? And with this program, you can transition back and you don't give up your benefits. So it's great.
Wow.
Yeah.
When they were calling you, you were probably thinking, this is spam,
Who is this?
Like you said, an unknown number. But that right there was an angel calling you.
It was. And they followed me on a journey for 2 years. And I did have lots of setbacks. So this was a godsend for sure. And the benefit is that they give you a trial work period. So that means if you stop, it doesn't go against you. So you could earn for a month, and that counts a month, and then not work for 3 months and then pick up again, and you remain in the program. And then after you return back to work full time, you get to keep your health insurance for 8 years. So it is a wonderful, not well-known program, so that's why I'm here, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people don't know about that program.
No.
Yeah, I had never heard about it. And so prior to even receiving this call about the program, did you ever have to do any therapy yourself? Then it was a lot.
Yes, I did. Well, in order to qualify for Social Security, I had to undergo a comprehensive evaluation, and so I had the cancer diagnosis, and then it's common that individuals with chronic illnesses also have some, mood issues, so depression or anxiety, and mine was definitely there. How am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to support my son? And so I do have, to this day, a therapist that I see. I really believe in therapy. And yes, during that period I had someone. I also had my caseworker from Allsup as well. So that is your help, right?
Asking for help. Let that be your superpower. Let that
Right.
not be something that you can't just wait for people.
Right.
As we say, you can't just wait for people to come. What is the number one reason that you see people reaching out today to your practice? What's the number one reason they're coming in?
Transitions. There's a diagnosis, as you well know, it's adjustment disorder. And, I explain to people, you just made a change. You changed jobs, you ended a relationship, you bought a house, you had a death, and those are life's transitions. And generally, we can only handle one, and it takes some time to adjust to that transition. I often get people who come in and they've got 4 or 5 transitions that just happened. And so we're talking not about a mental illness per se, but having some skills to help them cope with these changes that they have encountered and then get back to health.
That's a big one. I completely agree, adjustment disorder. And for anyone who doesn't know, it involves situational stressors. You may be depressed because this happened, but it doesn't mean you're going to be depressed forever.
That's
Where
correct.
there is somebody who may be depressed forever, but they learn to cope with it.
Right.
But either way, both need help.
Right.
Both need to learn to deal with it.
Right.
And that's a lot of times that's the difficulty of it. And it's scary for people when they're highly motivated and suddenly that motivation is zapped and they don't want to even get out of bed in the morning. They're like, what's happening to me? And they don't realize they just need a little bit of help.
There's a perspective. There's this trajectory, okay? Here's health. This is stress. This is distress, and this is disorder. And these are bidirectional arrows, and in between each one of them is an intervention. And it's usually talking to someone and asking for help so that you can go from disorder to distress to stress to health. Anybody can.
Anybody.
Anybody can.
To get started, visit us online or give us a call.